Did you know Red Maryland was on Patreon? By supporting Red Maryland on Patreon, not only do you support Red Maryland's efforts to grow the conservative movement here in Maryland, but you're going to get access to premium content, meet and greets, cool bumper stickers, and more. To support Red Maryland on Patreon, go to patreon.com/RedMaryland. Even $1 a month will help us grow the conservative movement in our state. And every dollar goes back into growing Red Maryland. That's patreon.com/RedMaryland. patreon.com/RedMaryland. And thank you for your support.
Shock the system.
You are invited to the 2020 Red Maryland Leadership Conference, which comes at you on Saturday, January the 11th, 2020, from the Doubletree Hotel in Annapolis. Join us as we hear guest speakers including Commerce Secretary Kelly Schultz, Delegate Kathy Shalega, Doug Mayer from the 2018 Hogan for Governor campaign, Andrew Langer and Jerry Rogers from WBAL Radio, Maria Sophia, the chair of the Maryland Young Republicans, Ian Patrick Hines, Rory McShane, and a host of other fantastic speakers. This conference will help prepare the groundwork for your next election success and the success of conservatism across the state. Tickets are on sale now. The conference sold out in 2019, so you are not going to want to miss out on buying your tickets today. Go to redmarylandconference.com to learn how to buy your ticket, your sponsorship, or your vendor table. That's redmarylandconference.com. Go buy your tickets today for the 2020 Red Maryland Leadership Conference.
Now it's time for the Air Raid. Here's your host, Brian Griffiths.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another brand new episode of the Air Raid here on the Red Maryland Network. It is Sunday, June the 23rd, 2019. Hope you and yours had an opportunity to take advantage of this first weekend of summer. Hope that if you went down to the ocean, you were not in the traffic that was on Route 50 yesterday, because that seems like it was not anybody's idea of a very good time. Today's episode is going to talk about something we have talked about in the past and how it relates to things going on elsewhere in the world. Now, you have heard us talk about the dangers of universal health care. This is something that came up during the election last year when Ben Jealous was pushing his socialized medicine, his version of socialism on the people of this state. And now we are continuing to see examples as to why socialized medicine is dangerous. I'm sure that you have heard what's going on in England right now. A headline from the Washington Examiner. This was a headline from Friday afternoon. UK judge forcing mentally disabled mother to have abortion against her will. This is by Ryan Everson. I repeat that headline in case you haven't heard it. UK judge forcing mentally disabled mother to have abortion against her will. Now, if you're like a lot of people, by the way, you're probably already irate at this headline, but let's keep getting into the details of the story. A judge in the United Kingdom ruled that a mentally disabled pregnant mother must abort her baby because doctors have arbitrarily decided an abortion would be less traumatic for her than childbirth. At 22 weeks gestation, this baby can feel pain and may be viable outside the womb. According to the Catholic News Agency, the pregnant mother has developmental disabilities, and is believed to have the mental capacity of a grade school-aged child. Consequently, UK judges and doctors have decided she should not have a child and that an abortion will be less emotionally traumatic. In her ruling for the Court of Protection on June 21st, by the way, how Orwellian is that? The Court of Protection. Justice Natalie Levin said, quote, "I am acutely conscious of the fact that for the state to order a woman to have a termination where it appears that she does not want it is an immense intrusion. But I have to operate in her best interest, not in society's views of termination." Quote, "Immense intrusion" is a remarkable understatement. If the government can force you to abort your child, is there any limit to its power? The pregnant mother and her family do not want an abortion. But she is under the care of a division of the UK's National Health Service, thus why the matter has gone to court, and why they have not already gotten one. Because this pregnant mother is mentally challenged, Levin said, quote, "I think she would like to have a baby in the same way she would like to have a nice doll, completely dismissing the mother's desire for her baby." Barrister John McKendrick, who is leading the legal team for the pregnant woman's mother, said the court has, quote, "no proper evidence that having an abortion would be beneficial to the pregnant mother." Quote, "Their evidence is premised on a narrow clinical view. The application must be dismissed," quote unquote, McKendrick said. The pregnant woman's mother has added that abortion strongly violates her family's Catholic values and that she would raise her grandchild herself. The leader of the opposing legal team, Fiona Patterson, has unbelievably argued that forcing this woman to have an abortion is an act of benevolence by the government. "A termination is in her best interest," said Patterson, who apparently thinks she knows better than the pregnant mother and her mother. "In broad terms, they believe that as a result of her learning disability, she is likely to find the loss of her pregnancy easier to recover from than separation from the baby if he or she is taken into care," Patterson said. Ironically, Patterson accidentally acknowledged the humanity of the child by referring to the baby as he or she. But aside from the slip of the tongue, the life of the child clearly has no value in this judge calculus. This court has decided that when a mother allegedly cannot make an informed decision on her pregnancy, abortion must be the default option, even if that child can survive outside the womb. Like the Charlie Gard case from 2007, this remarkably sad case demonstrates the evil of Britain's socialized healthcare system. Ideologues may call this an act of progressivism, but any sane person would call it barbarism. And that, friends, is true. Everything that our author here, Mr. Everson, said is 100% true. You know, liberals in this country, pro-abortion types, the death cult, they love to jump up and down and talk about my body, my choice. I don't see a lot of pro-abortion advocates leaping to this woman's defense. I don't see NARAL or Planned Parenthood saying that the United Kingdom should allow this woman to have a baby. Of course they don't. Because they aren't pro-choice, they are pro-abortion. They are part of a death cult that wants to limit who can have a baby. This is the natural outcome of socialized medicine. It is. We saw with the Charlie Gard case that in socialized medicine, parents do not have the authority to determine what is best for the best interest of their child. In that case in the UK in 2017, you can check our archives. I talked about this back then. The United Kingdom decided it was better for a child to die than to get medical attention. Doesn't matter what the parents thought. It didn't matter that the parents were looking to bring the child to the United States for get legal treatment here at their own expense or with money that was raised on their behalf. But in that case, socialized medicine, what Democrats want in this country, forced the child to die. In this instance, a woman, admittedly, she's developmentally disabled, no question. A woman is pregnant. What goes unsaid, by the way, is that the baby was conceived through rape. This woman has already had an act of violence put upon her. And despite that, despite her developmental disabilities, she wants to have the child. Her mother, the mother of the pregnant woman, is willing to care for her grandchild, to not make it a state problem. But instead of being sympathetic, instead of recognizing that the woman and her mother are able and willing to make the best of a bad situation, the state, the government of the United Kingdom, is going to perpetrate another act of violence against this woman. They are going to force her to have an abortion because the state, the government, thinks that she can't take care of it. You heard the judge say that she believes in her heart of hearts that the woman wants a child in the same way that a woman wants a doll, or that a child wants a doll. Do you realize the slippery slope all of this is put on? Do you realize what ultimately this means? The decision of the National Health Service in Britain is violence against women. It's not a pro-choice decision. It is literally forcing abortion on somebody. This is, at the end of the day, what you get when you institute socialized medicine. This is what you get if you institute Medicare for all. This is what you get when you institute single payer. This is what you get when you institute what Ben Jealous wanted in Maryland. This is what you get when you institute what Bernie Sanders wants for America, and many other Democrats too, by the way. This is what you get when you get what Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez wants to institute on America. You get ableism, the United Kingdom. You get government, in this case United Kingdom, but you get the state discriminating against those who have disabilities. You get eugenics, where the state is determining who is and is not allowed to carry a baby to term. And you get violence against women, because you get the state deciding who gets a forced abortion and who doesn't. What's next is sterilization. The government will just decide up front who's sterilized and who isn't, who gets to have a baby and who doesn't. And this is all part of the plan. You see, this is the thing. Democrats, pro-abortion types, the death cult, they don't think this is a bug. They think this is a feature. They think that people of lower socioeconomic classes should not reproduce. They think that people who aren't as smart or as pretty as they are should not be allowed to reproduce. You know what? You have a lot of Democrats who are jumping up and down about what's going on at the border, about what is or is not happening in the camps for where people are being held, the holding areas for people that are being held for violating our border. Now, I'll agree that the conditions in these camps are pathetic, and that the administration needs to do something about this. But they keep calling them concentration camps. They keep comparing the administration to Nazis. But what they failed to understand, they failed to realize, is that forced abortions, sterilization, violence against women, deciding who can and cannot reproduce, who does live or who does die, who is forced to take euthanasia or who is given care, making those decisions at the government level, that's what the Nazis really did. And that's what they are proposing in single-payer health care. The Democrats want eugenics. The Democrats want forced abortions. They want forced sterilization. They want forced euthanasia, or if not forced euthanasia, the restriction, withholding treatment so that individuals who are deemed not worthy to continue their lives die. And the Democrats will scream up and down and say that's not true, but damn it, they know it's true. All you have to do is to look at the sad history of just what's going on in UK's national health system to know that at the end of the day, this ends up with totalitarianism. that by government control of the healthcare system and government control to access to healthcare, that you get to decide who lives and who dies, and it's exactly what the Nazis did. It's exactly what the communists did. It's exactly what the phalangists did. And you're a damned fool if you don't believe that. This is why we must fight to protect life. This is why we must fight to protect a healthcare system that allows you to decide, that allows you to determine what treatment you can receive or will your children receive. This is the end result. What you see in the UK is the end result of what people like Ben Jealous and Cortez and Bernie Sanders want here in the U.S. And that is why we must do everything we can to stop this nonsense in its tracks. There's not enough support for Medicare for all or for socialized medicine here in the United States yet. Even here in Maryland, the voters of this state rejected it. But these Democrats are going to try to put this in place by hook or by crook. You know it, I know it, and everybody knows it. And we must protect life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness in order to make sure that we never get to a point where the Democrats get their wish and that where government can force euthanasia, abortion, and violence to force a eugenics program on the people of this country. That's what it is, and that's what we must be unafraid to call it. We cannot sugarcoat what socialized medicine, what single-payer health care, and what these Medicare for all proposals are. Fabulously expensive schemes designed to control who lives and who dies. I want to thank you very much for joining me on this week's episode of the Air Raid. Be sure to check out all of our Red Maryland Network programming. Thursday, Greg and I are back with a brand new episode of Red Maryland Radio. You're not going to want to miss that. We are scheduled to appear the incoming executive director of the Maryland Republican Party, Corinne Frank. So we'll talk about that, talk about her new role with the party, and we're looking forward to having her on. Occasionally on Saturdays, Greg pops out another episode of the Conservative Refuge. Sunday, I will be back with another brand new episode of the Air Raid here only on the Red Maryland Network. Be sure to check out all things Red Maryland at redmaryland.com. Lots of great stuff this week, including our story detailing the replacement, Patrick O'Keefe leaving the state party and being replaced by Corinne Frank. Also, lots of other great stuff at the home ship, redmaryland.com. Again, be sure to get your tickets now for the Red Maryland Leadership Conference, redmarylandconference.com, coming at you Saturday, January the 11th, 2020, at the Doubletree Hotel in Annapolis. And, of course, we always could use your support as a patron, patreon.com/redmaryland. And that's how you can support Red Maryland with your donation. You can also support us by liking us on social media. We're at Facebook, facebook.com/RedMaryland. We are on Instagram at Red Maryland. We are on Twitter at Red Maryland. Please invite your friends, family, neighbors, coworkers, colleagues, co-religionists, in-laws, and outlaws to like our stuff, share it with them, share it on your Facebook groups, share it on LinkedIn, share it on Nextdoor, share it on whatever social media networks that you're on, and make sure that you are spreading the good news of conservatism across the state of Maryland. There are lots of Democrats who want to implement Medicare for all in Maryland, and make sure they understand exactly what they are signing up for with their what they are supporting here in this state. If you want to contact us, you can do that anytime. redmaryland@gmail.com is our email address. You can call or text the Red Maryland Talkback line at 410-205-4875. That's 410-205-4875. We will feature your comments on a future Red Maryland Network program. Folks, thank you very much for joining me in this week's episode of the Air Raid. And again, stay tuned to redmaryland.com. Subscribe to Red Maryland Network program on iTunes, Stitcher, Spreaker, TuneIn, wherever you get your podcasts. And have the best of Red Maryland delivered to you each week by subscribing to our newsletter. For everybody here at the network, you've been listening to the Air Raid. I'm Brian Griffiths. Good night and God bless. Did you know Red Maryland was on Patreon? By supporting Red Maryland on Patreon, not only do you support Red Maryland's efforts to grow the conservative movement here in Maryland, but you're going to get access to premium content, meet and greets, cool bumper stickers, and more. To support Red Maryland on Patreon, go to patreon.com/redmaryland. Even $1 a month will help us grow the conservative movement in our state. and every dollar goes back into growing Red Maryland. That's patreon.com/Red Maryland. patreon.com/Red Maryland. And thank you for your support.
Shock the system.
You are invited to the 2020 Red Maryland Leadership Conference, which comes at you on Saturday, January the 11th, 2020, from the Doubletree Hotel in Annapolis. Join us as we hear guest speakers including Commerce Secretary Kelly Schultz, Delegate Kathy Shalega, Doug Mayer from the 2018 Hogan for Governor campaign, Andrew Langer and Jerry Rogers from WBAL Radio, Maria Sophia, the chair of the Maryland Young Republicans, Ian Patrick Hines, Rory McShane, and a host of other fantastic speakers. This conference will help prepare the groundwork for your next election success and the success of conservatism across the state. Tickets are on sale now. The conference sold out in 2019, so you are not going to want to miss out on buying your tickets today. Go to redmarylandconference.com to learn how to buy your ticket, your sponsorship, or your vendor table. That's redmarylandconference.com. Go buy your tickets today for the 2020 Red Maryland Leadership Conference.